Well, hello everybody. We are back with the All-Star Edition, and so I'm going to, the All-Star Edition of the podcast we call Nats Talk on the Go. And I'm going to start this podcast by saying I am in my 36th hour of being awake without sleeping. So sorry in advance for my many screw-ups, because it's going to happen.
It's going to be a rough one.
Yeah, we decided we wanted to do this. This is the only day we could do it this week. We wanted to make sure we got out an all-star edition of the podcast. So I'm going to tough through it. I'm going to be a gamer, and I'm going to work through it.
Lots of.
And I have to say, Jacko Meatloaf. Okay.
Okay. Is that anything like steak?
It's nothing. Well, maybe it's something like steak, but he asked me to say meatloaf on the air, so meatloaf.
Okay.
I would do anything for love, but I will not do that.
Nice. I mean, I don't know about you, but I can see the paradise by the dashboard lights.
Well done, sir. Well done.
Thank you.
Oh, all right.
Is anyone actually listening to this live?
Yes.
If you're listening live and you got on Fox, just shoot us a tweet. Joe is at the Nats blog Joe, and I am at Craig Mack. And we would love to chat with you guys. The people want to know what shirt that I have on, apparently.
That's true.
I actually have my U.S. men's national team shirt on. I think it would be appropriate to show it, but, we're not doing that right now. But I will take a selfie at some point, so.
Nice. And tweet out the U.S. men's national team selfie.
Absolutely.
I'm wearing my Washington Nationals 2012 Division Championship T-shirt.
Oh, very nice.
So let's get on to Act 1. We're going to talk about three things in this podcast, as has been our new kind of format. Act 1 is going to be the first half of the season. We're going to talk about what was good, what was not so great. In Act 2, we're going to talk about the All-Star Game because, there's some interesting things to talk about with that for sure. And then in Act 3, in the final act, we'll talk about the second half preview. We'll get into what we expect from the Nationals here into October, hopefully. And then, obviously, we've got minutia to talk about.
Oh, minutia/potpourri.
Minutia/potpourri.
That's fine.
So, first half, Craig.
First half, Joe. The Nationals are finished the first half in first place, tied with Los Braves.
Tied with Los Braves.
Los Braves. It's Atlanta. You got to be cultural sometimes.
That's right.
Yeah, it's not at all the first half we were expecting. Not the Nationals. You and I expected from the Nationals, just based on how the Braves spring training went with their starting pitching just absolutely breaking just a week before the season. Many expected the Nationals just to run away with it. And things haven't really gone the Nationals' way thus far. Once again, hampered by injuries within the lineup, not necessarily the pitching staff outside of Doug Fister missing the first month of the season. But you've seen Wilson Ramos, Ryan Zimmerman, Bryce Harper all miss significant time. And we're talking, those are 3, 4, 5 hitters right there, missing significant time. So that's given the Braves a chance to really stay in there. And they started hot, were terrible, and then they got hot again right leading into the break. So I know at one point the Nationals won, I want to say 6 of 7 and lost a game and a half.
Yeah, that was the most incredible part, was when the Nationals did, I think you're right, I think they won 6 of 7, and they lost a game because the Braves won 9 in a row. So, yeah. I mean, that's going to happen over the course of a long baseball season, but after they won those 9 in a row, I think they lost 5 in a row after that, 4 or 5 in a row. So, I mean, that's going to happen over the course of a season, but yeah, when we did our NL East preview to start the year, you and I and Will Yoder are, as he likes us to call him, the godfather of the Nats blog, was on the show. And both you and Will said, you know, I think the Nationals are going to run away with this because of everything. I said that I thought the Nationals were going to win handily, but I I think you guys, one of the two of you, had the Braves like finishing below 500. So
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me that one of us would have said that.
yeah, but I I wasn't so cold on the Braves just because I believe in the Braves offense a lot. Because as much as we make fun of him, I really like Freddie Freeman a lot.
Yeah.
Like a lot. So, and then Evan Gattis has continued to do what he's been able to do, which is beyond comprehension to me. But it's interesting to see what they've been able to do. The Nationals have been able to do despite the injuries to finish the season in in a quote unquote virtual tie for first place with the Nationals with have a half game lead in the division. Despite, like you said, all of the offensive injuries and huge ones at that. Bryce Harper is back, but he's not. I mean, he's back, but whether he's 100% or not, I'm not talking about it. This is not Bryce Harper, and so the Nationals have him in the lineup because you have to, but he's not playing like like he normally would be in the lineup, I guess is the best way to put it. So the Nationals have continued to push forward despite all of that, but you have to give the Braves credit too. I don't know how they're doing it.
No, smoke and mirrors mostly.
Yeah.
They've just been milking everything they possibly can out of players like Hayward, Freeman, and Simmons when he eventually came back, and relying on people like, I don't even know, what's this guy's name that's playing second base for them now? Took Dan Uggla's spots.
Tommy La Stella.
Tommy La Stella.
Yeah.
Named after a crappy Belgian beer. So, I mean,
got to get the beer reference in there, but
yeah, tell you all you need to know. I mean, if you look at it from a numbers perspective, right now the Braves have scored, I want to say, somewhere around 360 runs. They're actually outperforming their Pythagorean win-loss right now, whereas the Nationals are under their Pythagorean win-loss. So right now, based on the Nationals' league-leading run differential of, I think it's plus 61,
yep,
around there, the Nationals should be a good 4 or 5 games up on the Braves, and that just hasn't been the case. Whether you want to attribute it to injuries or momentum, whatever the hell you want to talk about, but that's what their record is. You can talk about the projections and all you want. You can just hope that as the season progresses, the numbers will kind of come back to, that progression instead of, where they currently are, because, we can talk all day about what they're projected to do. It's what happens on the field that really matters and really counts. So
right, and I want to stay on the projection part of things real quick before we move on to the real numbers and what's been happening. Because the Nationals, you're right. They're in the first half. They're plus 61 in run differential. I believe Adam Kilgore tweeted this yesterday. Said the Nationals are actually 3 runs better as far as run differential at the All-Star break than they were in 2012 when they won 98 games.
Yeah.
So that was a season when they actually overperformed their run differential. It went very well, so it continued. They didn't overperform it by much, but the Nationals are vastly underperforming the run differential so far this year. So,
which is saying something. I mean, and you're hoping that the Nationals can really get some health and take off. I mean, you're looking at a player like Danny Espinosa, God bless him for the defense that he's provided, but he's a 210, 278, 337 slash line.
Right.
Has 277 plate appearances.
Because of injuries.
He has the 6th most plate appearances on the team.
Yep. And Adam Jones thinks he should be an all-star. So
apparently, because Adam Jones, bright young fella.
You can't. I mean, players live in a vacuum. They don't pay attention to what's going on. You can't give too much to that. But I just wanted to add that. But
as much as we want to talk about the players like Danny Espinosa, you're Bryce Harper, as you mentioned off the top, he is I want to say probably a negative win player right now, but I don't have it right in front of me. But in 100 plate appearances, he has 1 home run?
2.
2 home runs, And the Nationals do not have a 300 hitter.
Yep.
Yeah.
No,
I'm
that's
sorry.
not true. Oh, yes, you're right. That is true. LaRoche has dropped significantly, but Bryce Harper, yeah, is a negative half win player, minus one half wins.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's and that's something that's obviously going to have to. That's something that's going to have to change, and I fully believe that it will change throughout the course of the year. But the last thing on projection and kind of talking about the wins before we really get into these offensive numbers for Nationals players is while the Nationals are plus 61, the Braves are plus 12. Yes, that is 49 runs better than the Braves, yet the Nationals only lead by half game. Something has to give.
Yeah.
And that's my only point. Something just absolutely has to give here. I've been saying it. I talk with my coworkers about this all the time. There are a lot of baseball fans in my office, and we talk about it. And I'm like, I was talking to a coworker just 2 days ago, and I said, I guess it was last week, whenever. And I said, it's something. I know all year I've said something's got to give, but man, something's got to give. You feel like it's gonna. It just hasn't happened yet. So, there are what 75 more games or so. There's a lot of time for that to give, and I think that it will.
Yeah, and right now we're looking at a team whose offense is, let me see, I've got the numbers right here, averaging 4.13 runs a game, hitting under 250.
Yeah.
The bottom half of baseball.
Yeah.
Despite having, what was that, a plus 61 run differential? And that just goes to show how good the pitching staff has been. Best ERA in the big leagues, fifth best whip, 53 quality starts. I mean, Jordan Zimmerman, all-star, 279 or 2.79 ERA. Doug Fister, 2.93. Steven Strasburg, a nice ungodly 346 with a 2.72 FIP and a 10.7 strikeouts per nine.
Yeah.
So that's what's keeping the Nationals' run differential. So if you can get one of the other players outside of LaRoche or Anthony Rendon hot, kind of like Jason Worth's been when the Nationals have been hot over the past couple of weeks, if you can get Span to raise his on-base percentage by about 20 points, if you can get Ryan Zimmerman to start hitting, if you can get Wilson Ramos to hit, you're going to see that gap continue to widen because the Nationals pitchers are kind of what they are. They're kind of locked in right now.
Yeah, I mean, the Nationals pitching is exactly what you've expected, and it's been that way all year. I want to spend a little time talking about the offense first before we move on to the pitching, because I think there are some points here to make, because you talked about how if people outside of basically Anthony Rendon, who is a god among men right now and is not an all-star, but that's for another segment.
That's for the next act.
Yeah, but so you mentioned Denard Span. You know what Denard Span's on-base percentage is over the last 30 games?
Hold on.
Don't look, just guess.
No, I actually already have it up because that's something I want to talk about.
Oh, yeah, I have it up. I brought it up, too.
Right. He's got a 350.
It's his on-base percentage over the last 30 days is 342.
Okay, well, his last 28 days is 350.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, but Denard Span, he's such an interesting case because, a lot of times you hear announcers cherry pick stats, and we've done it, and I'm guilty of it just as much as anyone. So when you hear FP and Bob say it all the time, when Rendon and Span scores, the Nationals win 28 of their 29 games or something ridiculous like that. Right. Denard Span in that leadoff role as the pace setter for the Nationals. When the Nationals win, he has a 339, 394, 490 slash line. When they lose, 186, 225, 261.
Yeah, those kinds of stats to me, I hate them
Yeah.
because I feel like in the last 2 years, and especially this season, there's been these ridiculous cherry-picked numbers.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
whoa, whoa, whoa. You mean when a Nationals player hits better, they have a better chance at winning?
Right.
Holy shit, that is mind-blowing. I have
Oh,
no idea. Like,
and I don't like cherry picking stats, but when the gap is that big,
that is huge.
I mean,
Yeah,
we're if it was 50 points, I wouldn't even mention it. But we're talking 150 points here.
yeah. It's a huge gap. Yeah, I mean, there's
Off hitter.
yeah, there's no doubt about it that it's a big gap, and it's significant. It's just, I think it's funny when Denard, the stat, like when Denard Span and Anthony Rendon both score, then the Nationals win most of their games. It's like, well, that makes sense because that means the Nationals scored at least 2 runs that game, and considering their pitchers give up about that per game, they're probably going to win a lot of games. Like that's why I kind of don't. It is impressive. Don't get me wrong. That's just kind of why I don't like those stats.
Oh, I hear that. That's word.
So
that's totally word. But you're looking at Anthony Rendon. He's been the best hitter on the ball club, and he's still hitting what, 287?
Yeah, 287.
287. I mean, it's mind-boggling that if the Nationals get any semblance of
Craig? Oh, I lost Craig. Yeah. So if the Nationals get any semblance of offense, I'm going to finish Craig's thought. If the Nationals get any semblance of offense, they do play well because they have that pitching. But expounding on Anthony Rendon and what Rendon's been able to do, he has, like we said, a 287 batting average. His weighted on-base average, or WOBA, as I love to say, is 362, and he creates runs 32% better than average. The fact that a guy like Anthony Rendon isn't a Washington Nationals all-star and representing that team in the offense is just criminal, and it drives me crazy. Again, we're going to get there. Craig, do we have any back?
Yeah, sorry about that. No idea what happened. I'm going to go ahead and blame Mike Matheny for that.
Good call. I just dropped a couple of Anthony Rendon stats, but he's playing so well, and he's actually over the better than he's been all year. It's just he's been killing the ball. Jason Worth, kind of the right guys have been getting back and doing the right things over the last 30 games. Anthony Rendon has been, Jason Worth has been, Ryan Zimmerman's finally putting up basically his career stat line, which is 280, 353, 450. That is almost identical to his career stat line. His slugging is a little bit low, but other than that, it basically is what he's done over the course of his entire career. And Wilson Ramos is just mind-bogglingly good. He's over the last 30 games, a 327 batting average, 365 on base percentage, 469 slugging percentage, which is the third best on the team in the last 30 days. So everything's kind of settling in. Ian Desmond has been hitting for some power. He's doing, what Ian Desmond's done. He doesn't get on base very high, but he's finding a way to do damage. So that is the huge first half part. And I know we're kind of low on time to talk about first half, so let's slide on to pitching.
Yeah, let's lump pitching in right here. The Nationals pitching staff that everyone's praised for the past 3 years or 2 years, even better this year.
Yeah.
Even better. The Doug Fister trade obviously brought an enormous piece into the Nationals starting rotation and pushed Ross Detweiler out. Tanner Roark has filled in more than admirably, posting up better numbers than a lot of the people in the rotation as well. And you could make a case that Tanner Roark deserves to be an all-star as well, but that's neither here nor there. But from number 1 to number 5, the Nationals are getting consistency. They're giving you a chance to win by, not giving up a ton of long balls. And it's incredible. It's amazing to watch. The Nationals are literally in every single game because of how good their pitching staff is. And that's to say nothing of Tyler Clippard having a phenomenal, once again, another career year. Drew Storen returning to Drew Storen. And then Rafael Soriano, just
Yeah.
wow. Sub 1 ERA, sub 2.5 FIP. I mean, it's Soriano.
Yeah, early in the year when we were talking about Rafael Soriano, his ERA was ridiculous, but his FIP was like a little high, and you could kind of see some regression coming. Nope, went the other way. Like he actually got better.
Yeah, we're talking a pitcher that gave up 7 home runs has only given up 1 this year.
Yeah, 7 home runs last year. He gave up 1. Like you said, a 0.97 earned run average, an FIP at 2.44. He has his strikeouts have come back up.
His strikeouts are 2. He has 2 more strikeouts per 9 than he did last year.
Yeah, and he's back at right around career average. I mean, just barely below half a strikeout per 9 innings. But he's looking like what the Nationals signed 2 years ago. What the reason that they signed him to that deal? He's kind of back to that form.
Right, and it's no longer squeaky bum time when he comes in.
Yeah, I mean, he comes into the game and finally you have this feeling they're going to close this game out because he's looked so unbelievably good. And like you said, we've heaped plenty of praise on the starting rotation. Gio Gonzalez has kind of come back to form after coming off the disabled list. He looks exactly like what the Nationals have wanted from him. Even his walk rate has come down by a whole lot. You mentioned Clippard, nearly 12 strikeouts per 9 innings. I mean, the thing about Tyler Clippard that's amazing, and we'll talk about him a little in the next segment, so I won't spend too much time, but he continues to confuse guys by pitching up in the zone, and he does it year in and year out. And for years, we both have been talking about this is the year that Tyler Clippard is going to regress, and he just doesn't.
He just doesn't.
He has the weak, start to the season every single year, and every single year we say this is probably the regression year, and it just doesn't happen. And it's incredible.
I know this is going to shock some people, but I'm about to show some Ross Detweiler love.
Yeah. I was waiting on it because I was going to do it if you didn't. So.
Okay. Ross Detweiler started the season absolutely dreadfully.
Yeah.
He got to pitch, and when he did get to pitch, it always went badly because baseball happens like that sometimes. It seems like he's finally embraced the reliever's role. And been given the opportunities to be a reliever and to succeed in the reliever role. And I'm totally going to cherry pick some stats. Last 28 days, he has faced 47 batters. Do you want to take a guess at some of his numbers against?
Well, I would guess that his ERA is sub 2. And I would guess that the batting average against is 108.
119.
Nice.
Base percentage 196. Slugging percentage 143.
Yeah.
0.615 whip.
That's how you say good.
That's a reliever coming into his own a little bit. Starting at the beginning of June, he's been a different pitcher. He has been a different Ross Detweiler. And did you, by chance, get an opportunity to read Kilgore's story about he randomly learned a splitter?
No.
Last Monday, he was fiddling around, and McCaddy said, "You know what? Let's try a splitter." He went to Clippard, got the grip. Wednesday night in the game, he threw the splitter 3 times.
Wow, that's cool. No, I didn't see that.
Picked it up, and apparently McCaddy was freaking out in the dugout saying, "Holy shit, he just threw the splitter."
Nice. That's pretty cool. I did not see that.
So he lots and lots of praise for Ross Detweiler for overcoming a terrible first 2 months.
And well-deserved. I mean, Ross Detweiler is I mean, he's really come around. I mean, everybody was talking about, oh, the Nationals just have to, and not even mad at him, like, oh, just let the poor guy go. It was kind of like the universal kind of thought process was that poor bastard. He's been dealt a bad card, and they should let him go and try and find a deal as a starter someplace, because he could be starting someplace. Even as bad as he was before, he could have been starting somewhere.
Oh, absolutely.
But he's pulled it together, and maybe he kind of looked at it and said, whether it was a mental thing or a physical thing or just wasn't feeling it early in the season, but he's definitely pulled it together. And whether he stays a national after this year or not is definitely going to be a process of debate. And I think that, we could maybe talk about that in the second half conversation.
The third, yeah, the Act 3.
Yes.
I'm glad we spent a little bit more time on the first half of the season because I think there's a lot of stuff in there.
Oh, yeah.
Act 2, I really don't care that much about. So let's get to Act 2.
Yeah. Act 2, All-Star Game.
How's that for want to listen to the podcast?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I said, how's that for making you want to listen to the podcast?
We really don't care, but we're going to talk about it anyway.
Yeah.
So, I've talked about this a million times. I don't care about the All-Star Game very much. The Wall Street Journal posted a graphic today that I thought was pretty interesting, that of active Major League Baseball players right now, I think about 23% of them have made an All-Star roster. That's not elite.
I want to say we're at like 12% of the players this season are on the team.
Yeah, I mean it's really stupid.
When you say Steven Strasburg, Anthony Rendon, Adam LaRoche, Doug Fister, Tanner Roark, you guys are not in the best 12% of players.
Rafael Soriano.
And Rafael Soriano, thank you. Are not in the best 12% of baseball players. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a real shame. And, I could, at the beginning, right before the teams were selected, about a couple hours before, I tweeted that the 4 guys that I would have selected from the Nationals were Steven Strasburg, Jordan Zimmermann, Anthony Rendon, and Tyler Clippard. And first of all, it wasn't because I did not think LaRoche was deserving, and it wasn't. I did a whole piece on the Nats blog about it, and it wasn't because I didn't think that Rafael Soriano wasn't deserving. I think that Soriano, there are a bunch of closers in the game that he was kind of done out by the role, and I think that LaRoche was the same way. First base was so deep, the closer position was so deep. If they wanted to throw in a setup guy, I think Tyler Clippard has proven that he's probably the best setup guy in Major League Baseball. So, and he would probably be closing for almost every other Major League Baseball team. So, I'm thrilled that I kind of by default got 2 right. Really was only 1 because it was Jordan Zimmermann, but it's hard for me to justify. Okay, Steven Strasburg doesn't make it. Fine. His ERA numbers don't break the bank, and
try and nitpick one of those stats.
Yeah, I mean, I don't agree, but it doesn't break the bank. But the fact that Anthony Rendon is not an All-Star is the one that really gets under my skin. He is the second best third baseman in the National League. Todd Frazier is the only one that's better. And he's putting
Aramis Ramirez.
Yeah, and this is the problem with fan voting is you get, Matt Wieters is the starting catcher, was selected as the starting catcher for the American League. He hasn't played a game since May 10th. May 10th. And the fact that guy is not, is listed as an all-star, beside the fact that he is in that position is just, it's moronic to me. And he took a spot away from a guy. Aramis Ramirez is a very good baseball player, and he's a very good third baseman. He missed like a month on the disabled list. And because the fans selected him, he's on the team instead of Anthony Rendon, who's deserving. And that doesn't even begin to touch Mike Matheny selecting, Matt Carpenter and whatever, but because he's his guy.
Yeah. That pretty much sums up my feelings too. Personally, I would rather the All-Star game not have a representative from every team and be the size of a normal roster.
25 guys.
5 guys, the best 25 guys, regardless of team. That's what I want to see. I mean,
yeah,
the fans. Honestly, happy for the guy. Don't really care about seeing Devin Mesoraco or Tyson Ross playing.
Yeah, right.
Sorry. I want to see Steven Strasburg, Clayton Kershaw, Felix Hernandez, Chris Sale. I want to see
Chris Sale, who wasn't selected to the All-Star team until the fan vote, by the way.
Even more ridiculous. I don't want to see Derek Jeter. I don't care. I want to see the best players. And honestly tell me that the Nationals had one player because of replacement.
Right. A team that has the third best winning percentage in the National League that leads their division, and they have one representative present.
Yeah. What was it? 9 teams with sub 500 records have more than 2 players.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And the whole problem is, right, and this is not saying that the Nationals are going to the World Series, but when you have a team that has a better chance of making the World Series than another team, and then this game counts and it decides who gets home field advantage in the World Series, and fans are selecting who starts that game.
Holy crap, can I pause you real quick?
Yeah.
It says Idina Menzel from Frozen. Did you see that? Are you watching?
Yeah.
Frozen. It's Idina Menzel, Broadway superstar, but it's from Frozen.
Well, that's what people know.
No. God, this country. Okay, sorry. Unpause.
Unpause. So my gripe with the game always has been fan voting. It's stupid. It's a popularity contest, and it makes no difference at who the great players are. And if you want to have an All-Star game that counts, fine. But let a manager field the team that he thinks is going to win.
Yeah, and they're obviously not doing that. Derek Jeter is leading off for the American League. Clayton Kershaw is not the starting pitcher.
Yeah.
The National League. So, obviously, the managers don't care. I would like the All-Star game so much better if it didn't count.
I would too.
It's a showcase. It's for the fans. I don't want to see the team that wins this not even a real game get home field advantage. You know who I want to get home field advantage? The best team left.
Yep.
That's who should.
It's criminal that a team could, like a team, let's say whatever team wins the National League wins 100 games and makes the World Series, and the team that makes the World Series for the American League wins 87 games. But the American League wins the All-Star game, and so that team that won 14 or 13 fewer games than the National League team during the regular season gets home field advantage. It's stupid.
John Farrell, manager of the American League, the last year's World Series winners, the Red Sox, he's managing the American League in the All-Star game. I'm sorry, the Red Sox are the third to the bottom, I believe, the third to worst team in the American League so far this year. They're give a flying F if the American League has home field advantage because, sorry, Red Sox aren't going to the World Series. It's not going to happen. So,
right.
What does he have? He's just going to go up. He's going to put Derek Jeter because blah, 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 Derek Jeter, Derek Jeter, Derek Jeter.
Right. Yeah, I'm totally with you. We could talk about this all day, and I just hate the spectacle of the All-Star game because, like you said, if it didn't count, first of all, I would have no problem with the roster because it doesn't count, so it doesn't really matter worth a shit. And if it didn't count, you would get, guys like Clayton Kershaw going up and throwing an eephus pitch because it's funny. Like you would get Giancarlo Stanton, who also wasn't selected as a starter and is a legitimate shot at winning the National League MVP this season, would go up against Clayton Kershaw and swing as hard as he can 3 times.
Would get John Kruk facing Randy Johnson throwing a pitch over his head, John Kruk turning his helmet around.
Exactly. I completely forgot about that, and you're exactly right. Yes, that is, and that's what it should be. And you watch the NBA All-Star Game, which I've never done ever, but if you watch the NBA All-Star Game, like it's supposedly a very fun thing. NHL All-Star Game, which I watch every year, is fantastic. It's a 12-10 game every time. No one cares, and it's fun. And that's what it should be.
Yeah. You got anything on the home run derby?
It was terrible. Not good. And also Sabermatics.
Sabermatics, #Sabermatics. Started at 9:10, 9:15.
Yeah.
Lasted till 11:15.
And an already pitcher-friendly ballpark, and then you're talking late at night in Minnesota. It was.
What do you think about?
Good. Are you there? Did we lose Chris?
Are you there?
I'm here.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
What do you think of the new format?
It was stupid. Yeah, Giancarlo Stanton could have hit, 5 times within that hour, and instead he had a 2-hour break and just totally blew it at the end. It was terrible. And the home run derby is one of those things that should actually be fun to watch because it doesn't count to anything, and you just watching people do that fun ridiculous thing, and it wasn't. It was terrible.
Yeah, home run derby where Giancarlo Stanton only hits twice is bad.
Yeah, it's bad for baseball when that guy doesn't hit more than once. It's bad for baseball when Yasiel Puig has the opportunity to swing at 7 pitches and that's it, and you don't get to see him hit anymore. It's bad. It's bad for the game. It's bad for the All-Star weekend. It's bad for everything.
It should be fun. It's not fun. They're taking the fun out of it. I'm an old crank. Suck it up.
I'm with you.
Act 3.
I was going to say, second half. So, on my agenda for second half preview, there is nothing underneath it, so take it away.
All right. Let's just start simply. Who do you think the Nationals' most important player in the second half will be?
Ooh, good question. Can I do offense and pitcher?
I will allow it.
Pitcher is Tanner Roark.
Nice.
Because he has to keep doing what he's doing, and I think that's going to be really tough as people start to figure him out and figure out his stuff now that he's been around the league for about a season between the end of last year and this year. And I think as more people start to see him, it's going to get a little bit more tough for Tanner Roark. The reason I don't pick any of the other guys is because I fully believe they're going to keep doing what they're doing no matter what, and it's fine. As long as Jordan Zimmerman's bicep turns out to be nothing, then I'm not worried.
He is my selection for this, and it's solely because of that bicep. Because a bicep injury shouldn't, what was it, a bicep strain?
Right.
MRI. So
yeah, that's.
I don't think
the bicep is, it depends on where in the bicep it is, but I'm not a medical expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I think that it makes sense that anything in the arm might get an MRI. It's that doesn't concern me all that much. Hopefully he comes back, everything's fine. He'll have a full, basically, 10 days off or so, and hopefully it'll turn out fine.
Yeah.
But that's kind of my contingent of why he's not my most important guy. But for pitching, it's Tanner Roark. For offense, it could be a lot of guys. and you didn't tell me this was going to be the topic beforehand, so I'm just kind of throwing it out there. I'm going to say Ryan Zimmerman,
Okay.
um, because of the if he continues to not be a liability in the field, and he
Oh,
can keep doing what he's doing now, then he's going to be a huge value, and I think getting more than people expected. My runner-up would be Bryce Harper because he needs to turn it around because the Nationals need him to do something. But I would, just kind of as a random, out of nowhere would be Ryan Zimmerman.
okay. My offensive number one would be Bryce Harper, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't have his exact numbers in front of me. Let me actually change the splits on my Fangraphs or something. Or no, minimum plate appearances, I guess. So I can look at exactly what his numbers are. But right now, Bryce Harper is not doing so hot. He's hitting under 250. He's
Yep.
under 400. So that's not. He's almost got the same slugging percentage. I'm sorry. Excuse me. I'm totally off. Denard Span has a higher slugging percentage by 20 points than Bryce Harper. So
Yeah, there's no way where that should be a thing. So
if he is half of what he is and should be, then the Nationals are going to have a huge second half. So I'd say he's the most important to get going. My second most important to get going would definitely be Ian Desmond.
yeah.
I just think that his offense, home runs aside, is better than he's been putting up. This is a player that the past two seasons he's hit 292 and 280. Right now he's hitting 243 and getting on base 40 points less than he did the past two seasons. So
Yeah.
I can put something together once again. That's going to be another player that maybe Anthony Rendon is going to come back down to earth a little bit. Maybe Adam LaRoche is going to come back down. But these are the two players that I think need to pick up the most amount of slack to kind of spread the load around for the rest of the club.
Yeah, that's a good call on Ian Desmond, too, because he has been, like you said, outside of the home run numbers, which are spectacular, other than that, he's been kind of not as good as we've come to expect from him out of the last 2 years.
Yeah, less than stellar, we'll say.
Yes.
So that being said, what are the Nationals going to do at the trade deadline?
Yeah, this is a really interesting thing to look at. This is kind of what I kind of mentioned and teased earlier when we were talking about Ross Detweiler and how he's turned it around. I don't think even if Ross Detweiler continues to do what he's doing for the rest of the month, he yields much of anything at the trade deadline. I don't think so. I could be wrong, but it doesn't. Maybe a rental of a mediocre guy, but I think the Nationals stay quiet. I don't think that there are that many needs. I think that now that guys are healthy, obviously between now and the deadline, an injury changes that. A major injury to a major guy would require, a big deadline move probably because the Nationals don't have any game changers in the minor leagues. So, maybe, a pitcher or a big bat gets hurt, then you have to look to try to get a rental to keep things going. But I don't see a big need. The lineup is top to bottom one of the best in the major leagues still in terms of just name power alone. And the pitching, I mean, you can't get any better than the Nationals have as far as pitching. So I think it stays quiet. What about you?
I think Ross Detweiler is gone.
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense if he is. I just don't know you get much from him. You already have Craig Stammen. You don't need Ross Detweiler. He's totally not giving you, despite the fact that he's been better, he's not giving you much value. You don't need another long reliever in there.
Well, doesn't give as much value to the Nationals as he gives to other ball clubs.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So that's why I'm saying I could see it happening. I just don't see them getting somebody, a game changer back from him. Somebody that could make a difference, really.
I don't honestly think the Nationals are going to be out looking for a game changer because, as you said, that they don't have the need. They're looking for depth. They're looking for bullpen. They're looking for consistency. And maybe you're going to find a team like the Astros, like the Cubs, where you can send Ross Detweiler, where he can be a piece for them, a 4 or 5 guy for the next couple of years, and the Nationals can get a kind of dog days of August, a September piece that they can use, and they can, spell at second base if someone gets hurt, or that can, hit lefties better. I think they're going to look for a small piece. I don't think it's going to be they're going to get, a top prospect. I'm sure they're going to get some kind of prospect, but I think they're also going to try and get a major league piece, a loogie who's actually going to get out left-handers more than Blevins or something like that. I think
Right.
it's the kind of piece that a contender makes to make the stretch drive for the playoffs. I think it's going to be a specialist, a loogie, a right-handed one-out guy, a ground baller, a utility guy who can literally play anywhere that, is going to have some value. And I don't know who that player is. I don't know what it's going to be, but I think that Ross Detweiler is going to go, and I think the Nationals are going to get some piece that will help them for the stretch drive.
Yeah, it would totally make sense. It would totally make sense. So it wouldn't. Yeah, I'm with you. Wouldn't surprise me at all. But I don't see any big hay happening. That's for sure.
And the crazy thing about Mike Rizzo is Rizzo Dark 30 happens, and no one really knows anything. And then all move, and he gets a Kurt Suzuki, and he helps lead the Nationals to the playoffs or something like that.
Very true.
It's going to be there will be a player that the Nationals acquire via trade or waiver move in August that will dramatically help the Nationals down the stretch. It's going to happen.
Yeah, he has a propensity.
Yeah.
That's if Mike Rizzo's done anything, it's been that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you.
Have you had a chance to look at the Nationals' schedule for the second half at all?
I was gonna pull that up, and I forgot that I was gonna.
Yeah, the Nationals have a pretty easy schedule, to be honest, for the second half. Milwaukee, ending July, Milwaukee, Colorado, Cincinnati, Miami. So
yeah, and Milwaukee, who has been struggling lately.
Come way back down to earth. The Rockies come way back down to earth. The Reds, injuries, and the Marlins.
Yep, and you're right. And then going into August, Phillies, who haven't been playing well, that Orioles makeup game thrown in there, the Mets, the Mets, and then they have the Braves in August, which will be in Atlanta for that second week in August, and then the Mets again, the Pirates, the Diamondbacks, the Giants, the Phillies, the Mariners. I mean,
yeah,
you're right.
Schedule definitely favors the Nationals. The last, I want to say, let's see, 12, 18 games, Mets, Braves, Marlins, Mets, Marlins.
Yeah, that part will definitely favor the Nationals. So because you have the Braves thrown in there, obviously, and that will be a big series because the last time that they meet, despite the fact that there's a full week and a half of baseball left, and so those games will be important. But the fact that you have the opportunity to face the Marlins for 4 away, and then the Mets for 3 at home, and then the Marlins for 4 at home because they have that makeup, will be so they have 7 games at the end of the regular season at home against teams that will almost certainly be below 500.
You're looking Marlins. I'm guessing they're going to trade some pieces away again
because it's the Marlins. So
Marlins, and they're still building for next year. So
yeah, you always have that that concern in at the end of the year when teams are bad. The Nationals did this a lot in their bad years, where they would be in September, and they really, it's so cliche, but they played spoiler. And it wasn't just that the guys that had been at the major league level were outperforming what they've done all year. You get these guys that come up as September call-ups, and they want to prove something. Despite the fact that it's over, they want to make an impression, whether it's making an impression on their own team to keep them, to have them on the Major League roster opening day next year, or make an impression so they notice is taken by other teams and they become a trade piece to start getting Major League, experience. But that's the one thing that you worry about, and especially with the Mets, who have a deep farm system and have some young pitchers like Noah Syndergaard and a few other guys, that the Mets can play a little bit of spoiler there. But the fact of the matter is, 8 of the last 11 games are going. 8 of the last 11, and that's going to be telling.
So, what are you most looking forward to in the second half?
What am I most looking forward to in the second half? Winning a lot of baseball games.
Might as well just do most and least, because I'm going to ask you anyway.
Yeah. So most looking forward to. I don't know. I think the Braves coming back down to earth. That's probably what I'm most looking forward to, because I don't think that what the Nationals have been doing is going to change all that much. So I have to look outside of the team. What am I least looking forward to? I don't know. Probably I don't know. I have no idea what I'm least. I'm looking forward to everything. I love the second half of baseball. It's the beginning is great, but the second half of the baseball season, it shouldn't, but it feels different. The games matter just as much as they do on April 1st, but it has a different feel to it in the second half. So I don't know. I'm not. I have no least.
All right, that's fair. I'm most looking forward to Bryce Harper exploding.
Nice.
It's going to happen, and there's going to be a series where Bryce Harper hits 4 or 5 home runs and knocks in 12.
Yeah.
It's going to happen, and it's going to happen soon. But when Bryce Harper gets on, and he will be on at some point, it's going to be fun to watch, and I'm really looking forward to that happening. I am least looking forward to the Derek Jeter farewell tour.
Oh, good. That's good. That's it. That's the only answer that matters. I was thinking for the Nationals, and yes.
Well, yeah, that too. I'm just glad the Yankees aren't coming too.
Yeah.
The
farewell tours are tired, man. They're just tired.
I'm least looking forward to nothing.
Yeah. When you have a team that is in a virtual tie for first place in your division at the All-Star break, and you're looking to go. I mean, there's nothing better than that. It's just there's nothing better. There's nothing bad about it. You look forward to everything. That's it. I'm with you totally.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun. It's been a backwards year in baseball. No one is really phenomenal. No one,
especially in the National League. The Oakland Athletics are phenomenal.
Yes.
But no one in the National League is. I mean, there are how many teams within like 3 games of the National League lead?
Yeah, no one is phenomenal. No one is too bad. I mean, the Cubs aren't good, but also not.
The Cubs aren't good except for the pitching that they just traded away. That was fun to watch until they got rid of it.
Yeah. So no one's awful. No one's amazing. So it's going to be a really fun stretch drive, because I'd say 8 teams, 9 teams have a legit shot. Maybe 10, probably 10 teams have a shot at making the playoffs, really.
Yeah.
With 5 playoff positions now.
Well, yeah, and that's not to say that 10 teams are going to make a run, but that's kind of what the extra playoff position adds, and that's what we talked about. Like when you have this more teams competing, it affects the trade deadline, and people feel like, well, they can make a run if they can put 10 games together, 15 games together. They can make a run, whereas before they were out of it by the All-Star break.
There's so many teams. If you get a 3-4 game sweep of the team in front of you, you're going to leapfrog them.
Exactly.
So that's something baseball hasn't seen in a little while. So that's going to be a lot of fun to look forward to. in the rest of the second half. Anything else you got on the second half? You want to do a prediction?
Ooh, you mean the kind of prediction that I'm thinking you're meaning?
I'm just saying prediction. You can take however you want. You're going first.
You make a prediction.
All right, the Nats are going to win 92 games.
Nats are going to win 92. Do you remember what your prediction was before?
I think I said 98.
Yeah. I don't remember. I feel like I put mine. I think I put mine at 90, between 90 and 92. I feel like I put it in that range.
I thought you were at 95.
That I was going to say it could have been as high as 95. I still, 93 games. I think the Nationals will win 93. That sounds right.
I think they'll make the playoffs, and I think it's most likely going to be as NL East champs. I don't think the Braves are going to be sustainable, especially in the second half, because they don't have a lot of ready prospects. So I think they need to make a pretty big deal to get it.
Yep, I totally agree. The Nationals I think are gonna win the division. I feel pretty confident in that. That's not to say that something can go wrong, but if they keep playing well and the health stays fairly intact, I think that they're not going to run away. They're going to win by a couple games.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it'll be. If nothing else, it's going to be a really fun end. I don't think that either team is going to blow away the other, so I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be a good push towards the end, but I still stay with what I said earlier. I don't think that the second wild card, either wild card spot, comes out of the National League.
What the hell? Oh, by the way.
Sorry?
What the hell is this commercial?
Yeah, I don't know. Tip your cap to the Jeets.
No.
Terrible.
No. What do you got for minutia, Joe?
I don't have. I'm still really fucking tired. That's.
The Nationals have less than a week to sign Eric Fetty and Andrew Suarez. So
yeah, that's interesting. I think is Fetty one of like 2 or 3 first-round picks that haven't been signed?
Well, I don't know if you've seen the stuff about Brady Aiken.
Yeah.
There's some shit going down in Houston right now, so that's going to be fun to watch. Engage me on Twitter at Craig Mack, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it. But as for minutia, I just want the second half to start.
Yeah.
I don't like the 2 days after the All-Star game because it's stupid.
Well, you got to give the players a day off at some point. I mean, I like giving the players a couple days off and whatever, but it does make Wednesday and Thursday terrible. Just really, really terrible.
But yeah, I got nothing else for minutia. Keep an eye out for that.
So my minutia, how much would you love right now? Adam Wainwright's like back off the mound cheering for Derek Jeter and everything. How much would you love if he just put one right in his ribs?
That'd be amazing.
Oh God, it'd be so. And again, I'm not a Derek Jeter hater. The spectacle. I just think it'd be funny, but the game matters, so you can't do that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot it does count. You're right.
The game matters. You can't do that. You can't have fun. There's no fun in baseball, Craig.
I'm sorry.
Well, that's it. I'm going to end the broadcast. I'm going to edit and post this onto iTunes, and then I'm probably going to go to bed.
Yeah, I think that's a smart idea.
Yeah. So thanks for listening to episode 85 of Nats Talk on the Go. Episode 85, also known as Lasting's Millage's number that he used before he disappeared from baseball forever.
That's so beautiful. Dude, he's a star in Japan right now, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, that's good. Of course. Oh, I hate it. All right, thanks for listening to Nats Talk on the Go. We'll talk to you next time.
All right, bye, everyone.